Hello, 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 and welcome to my channel again. I'm back with another episode of Here is Today's Story by Manon. And as usual, I have a little bit of a throat stuff, so I have my tea. But I will be talking to on the live stream, and then I will also be talking about stories, and I will keep talking about them regardless of whether anybody's here or not, so that everybody can answer. Okay. Okay. I think we need some music. What does everybody else think? Can I try? Maybe there is music. Okay, we still have some people coming. Just okay, so topic of today's video is fun stories from Estonia. And I will be starting and thinking or telling about the stories that I have seen and done. And I think I want to start. Okay. Okay, my throat is a little better, but I think I look fine. Is that okay? Okay, so fun stories from Estonia. So I went to Estonia when I was in my 20s, and I still remember the first day that I went there. It was raining and it was very cold. It was end of August when I was there. The new semester was starting. And the weather was already very chilly and it was very dark and it seemed like a completely new place. The first picture I remember that I ever took was a picture of the bus schedule, because I went from airport to the I went from airport to the city center, and then from city center I had this booking at a hostel because I couldn't find a place in the university dormitories. And then let me just put it here. And then I remember that for 30 days I was actually in a hostel, which was, I think, which was called like Feel Good Hostel. And those were like really, really tough days because I was living in a, I was living in a, uh, like a big room which had like 16 beds. So I was living with 16 people for 1 month, and I had one bed, and it was very expensive because I couldn't find a place uh, till I was. I couldn't find a place um, before I went there because the university dorms were full. So, is there, okay. So I so one of the most memorable things that I remember from that time is that there were like so many different kinds of people. Like some were students, some were just going there. And it was my first time living at a hostel. Actually, it was my second time moving abroad, and that was really difficult. I remember, and there was this guy who was Estonian and who was a mixed martial arts artist. So he was sort of like a wrestler, but you know those guys who are like mixed martial arts. And I don't know how old he was. Maybe he was in his 20s or something. And he had like a bunch of teenage girls that were just his fans. I don't know why. Like they were like a couple of girls. Like I think there were like 4 or 5 girls just like surrounding him all the time. And I remember very distinctly that he would spend all night talking to all of them. I don't know. Like this is so weird. But he was there up all night talking in Estonian to all of them, and they were like listening to him like maybe he was some kind of a I don't know, like a sage or like wise person. I don't think he was like, but he was. I'm guessing he was a master storyteller. If you could keep somebody up for like all this time, that was a very good character that I met there. I don't know where he is right now, but yeah. The hostel doesn't even exist anymore, by the way. So this is back in 2014, and there was this another guy that I remember. Uh, there was this another guy that I remember from staying at the hostel who was a much more older, aged guy. Okay, so he was like in his late 40s. I think probably he was in his 50s, and he I think he was divorced or maybe his wife kicked him out. I don't know. Both can happen very easily in Estonia. And what he would do was that he would get pitch drunk. Like I don't think I've ever saw him sober. Like he was always drunk, but not drunk in a way that he was like causing a lot of problems for everybody. It was just that he was lying down, smelling of alcohol, and that's it. Like I mean, I can do a whole episode on what happens to people when they drink. There are different kinds of things. But yeah, so he was, and the funny thing was that he was a physicist who used to work in the university in Taltech back in the Soviet Union. Uh, I don't know if Taltech existed at that time, but he used to work in a physics department of a university. And he sometimes when he would really get drunk, he would tell stories about the Soviet Union and the kind of research work they were doing. And those stories were kind of crazy. Like there was this one story that I really remember that I want to share. There was this one story that he told me, this guy, and he said that the Soviets were actually testing a sort of a weapon that would create a temporary hole in the ozone layer. over a certain area using a satellite or I don't know what. And what that would do is that it would cause the harmful UV rays of the sun to to attack that area. So imagine you blast open the ozone layer or the ionosphere or whatever it's called. It's like opening a wound on your body, and then anything can harm you because you're wide open to germs and whatever. But he said that he actually saw pictures of a forest that was black dried, and that was without any explosion or anything else. And that he said that the Soviets were actually doing this kind of research back in the day, and they had this kind of a weapon. Now, I've tried researching about that so much, but I never found that exactly. What kind of a weapon would that be that causes this kind of a like serious damage? So that was another character, and that is one memorable character that I do remember. I don't know where he is right now, but but yeah, that was another character that was quite fun. And then I met another. So I made some really good friends over there as well, and I made one Turkish friend, and it was my first experience actually being friends with somebody from Turkey, and it was really good friendship. He was a little bit younger than me, and we actually got to because we both were looking for a place. He was there on exchange, and we were both looking for a place. So we actually found a place, a flat together, and we were moved to the flat after 30 days, which was kind of amazing because I wasn't hoping that I would be able to find a place that early. And eventually, we became such good friends that we actually traveled together the same year, back in 2014, across Scandinavia. So we did the EU Rail Pass, and we traveled from all the way from. Uh, we went to Norway first, and then we saw the Northern Lights in Tromsø, and then Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Netherlands, Germany, and then Belgium, and then from Germany again back, we went to Estonia. So yeah, really good friendships. And there was this another friend, Hungarian friend that I had. Her name were Vitsa. I'm still in touch with her. Shout out to Vitsa. She just recently got married. Lots of congratulations, by the way. And it's yeah, she was like very extroverted and very smart, and she ended up doing a PhD, coming back to Estonia and then going back to Hungary again. And I remember the kind of discussions that they would have together with the my Turkish friend and then her, because Hungarians and Turkish people sort of like have a weird relationship, because apparently the Turkish people uh, were nearing to conquering Hungary, but the Hungary resisted. I don't know. Like, I'm not well versed with this history of the Turkey, but yeah, it was kind of really interesting to hear those stories. I think that was a really fun time. It was a very challenging time, but it was a really fun time. That being like, imagine sleeping in a bed and there are like 18 beds surrounding you, like bunk beds, and it's full of just young people having parties and that, because it was full of like Erasmus exchange students, right? And if you know anything about Erasmus, you would know that it's just an excuse to get hammered and just get laid. And yeah, it's just the European version of a Euro trip. That's it. Like, that's the best way that I can put it. But yeah, Erasmus is just for exchange students. There is no studying in Erasmus. In fact, I don't even think the students actually go to their classes. I mean, this is the time that you need to. I mean, this is the best way to increase European brotherhood. Yeah, and I think Erasmus has worked wonders, like Erasmus Exchange, because it's unthinkable for anybody in Europe to imagine that these countries and these nations were actually getting each other killed not so long ago. Like French and English people were just like 200 years of just bloodshed, just killing each other all the time. So, so that was the first thing that I remember. And then I think the what I remember from the first year also was the fact that it's like one thing that you need to understand is that when you move abroad, there is like a honeymoon period, right? And then the when the honeymoon period ends, then you start to feel the reality, and then when you start to feel the reality, then the reality comes crashing down. So I was lucky enough that my I got a little bit of a good supporting circle. Like when I moved in, it was right at the time where you need to survive quite much because I had my studies and I really wanted to do well in my studies because I didn't do so well in my bachelor studies. I mean, I wasn't such a good engineering student, but this was one program that I really, really enjoyed and I really wanted to be good at. So that sort of became my first support circle, my study group. And we had like, we students, we had people from all over. Like we had people from Turkey, Estonia, a couple of Indians, Iranians, and there were people from Netherlands, and of course some one from Australia as well. And it was like a really really place, really fun place to hang out, and we had a really good time over there. The program that I studied was called Design and Engineering, and it was yeah, and it was one of the really cool programs. I ended up graduating with honors, and that I think is one of the biggest achievements that I have, because I had a really good final. I had actually a really good final project. So yeah, so this was like the really first fun time that I had, and then another fun incident that maybe another really fun incident that I had was like my impression of gyms and gym lockers was from the American movies. So I imagine that, like like they say in American high schools, everybody has their own locker and they can lock them and they can take the key and then it's yours. So when I went to the gym in the university and it was, I remember there was this gym and then I thought that the locker is mine, so I would take out the key and then I would go back. And there was one day when I came back that they had my stuff in a pile, and they said that with a straight face that they would throw it away, that if I didn't come back, and that it's definitely not allowed. Like the thing about Estonia is that even to this day, I think the customer service has improved quite much, but the customer service absolutely, I would say, does not exist. Like when I went there, there was no customer service. And what I mean by there was no customer service is that if you asked for help from somebody, from a customer, it felt like they're doing you a favor. I mean, that is what it felt like. So there was no anything remotely related to customer service. And that was quite a shock as well because, of course, yeah, it's you're not used to that coming from a completely different culture. Um, so yeah, that was like the one big cultural shock that I actually really went through was also going through the university and actually like the thing that the one another challenge was that I realized that people were not really serious to have studies. I don't know how to say that, but people were not that much into studies. Like people did not have that kind of a like drive or ambition or like something that they would really want to uh like excel in their studies or get good grades. There was no such thing like that at all. And that was something that was felt by many others as well. If you I remember one of my acquaintances, she was from, um, she studied in the UK, and she told me that the libraries in our university, they used to close at like 6 or maybe 7, and that it was unthinkable for her that any university library could close that early because students would come and then they have to study. So why is it that? But all in all, I think they really wanted to improve and try to improve the programs that that they had, especially the international programs. One another let me think what other fun stories do I have from the first year. Mhm. Actually, not from the first year, but a little bit later as well. And this is related to more like my first interaction with somebody from France. So I think I want to do a story, like a series of lives, because I want to do lives a lot because I really like them and enjoy them. I want to do a series of lives in which I talk about each European culture. So starting with like today, I'm starting with Estonia. Then I want to talk about Germany. What are those people like? What are their um, how funny are they? How do you make friends with Germans? What are some things that you need to know? So sort of like or something like uh, understanding the different cultures in a spontaneous way. And then I also want to talk about the French because my experience with French was quite something. Like I can tell about it right now. And then of course the Finnish, the Swedish. I've worked with Swedish quite a lot. Like one of my mentors was Swedish, and I really wanted to talk about them. Uh, uh, yeah, what are Swedish people like, and how do you make friends with them, and what are the things that you need to know about the Swedish culture because they are really really fun. I think some of the most fun people that I've ever met, even though it might not seem like that, but some of the most fun people I've ever met were Germans and then also the Swedes, hands down. Like they know, like if they want to, they know how to have fun. I mean, of course, there is alcohol that is involved, but yeah, their sense of humor is something. And then, of course, I mean, if you talk about away from like continental Europe, then hands down, Scottish people are freaking amazing. Like I think they're probably the closest people that I ever felt like kinship to in Europe. Um, and then of course the Russians as well. Uh, but yeah, Russians are a little bit different. So what I meant to say was that I wanted to do stories and fun live these events about about European cultures and then how to, like fun stories so you can also understand them how they are. So one fun story that I have that told me about the French people was back in. So I had finished my university and I think I was in the final semester and I was I got a job in an engineering company. And every day what I would do is that I would take because the it was really far, the office of the company. And every day what I would do is that I had a bicycle, and what I would do is that I would take the train, put my bicycle in the train, and then I would travel, and then I would do my bike. And I would do this all year long. So even in the most heaviest of snowfalls, I would do that, which was kind of fun and kind of a weird experience. But actually, yeah, I think I want to talk about the cold. What happens when you're cold? So that is another thing that I would mention. But so there was one day when I was coming back, and I was uh yeah. Thank you for commenting, Shafi. Yeah, that's true. Good to have you here. Okay, so I remember when I was like coming back home, and there was this one person. Uh, So when you enter the Tallinn, the city of Tallinn, then there is this big board, and my office was just beside that, like a little bit ahead. So I'm walking by, and I see a guy who's just trying to balance a phone camera, and he has a bicycle, and he just wants to take a picture of himself with the sign. And I just went up to him, and then I asked him, like straight away that I can help you. And he was really glad, and he was very chatty, and he was really happy. It turned out that he was a French guy, a PhD student who got tired of his studies, and then he was traveling, bicycling all the way from France, north of France, where he was living in the city called Alsace, and then he was going to uh, all the way to Finland, and he was like doing the bicycle tour. And I remember that it was like a breath of fresh air because he was so smart and so knowledgeable and so well versed about all of these things that I kind of felt like an instant connection. His name was Adrian, and uh, we sort of exchanged contacts. And I met him the next day when he was staying in Tallinn in a hostel, and we just spent the time talking about so many different things. As I said, that he was very knowledgeable, very smart, and PhD student, of course, learning about different cultures. And yeah, and he was like the first French friend, sort of, in a way, that I had. And then I forgot about it. I think it was like the fall, or like the summertime, at the end of summertime, so somewhere around August. And I remember, like, it was near November or December, like the Christmas was near, and I was in Sweden for work purposes. I was traveling in a train, and suddenly I get a message on my phone saying it's from Adrian, and he said that, "What are you doing on Christmas?" I said that, really, man, I have no plans, because there is one thing that you should know, that in Europe, if you don't have a family, if you don't have a circle of friends, if you don't have all these people, then it's very lonely. I mean, Christmas is a very lonely time if you don't have a family and if you're not alone. So he just asked me, like, straight away, that, "Okay, what are you doing on Christmas?" And I said, "Man, I don't have any plans." And he said, "Just come over to me and spend Christmas with me." Now, this is like, I want to stress here one thing, that this is not very normal. This is not very normal for Estonia, especially for Estonia, because I had very close friends that invited me after to their homes by themselves after 7 years, at least after 5 years. It's very rare that a person from Estonia who would invite you to their home very early. I know I had some Estonian friends who would say that right away, that, "Oh, we invited you earlier," but you're different. Like, you have lived abroad. You have to understand is that the Estonians who have lived abroad, even if it's for like 6 months, versus Estonians who are local, massive difference between them. You can't count them as the same people. So yeah, there's a huge difference. So anyway, so here was me, and there was this guy, and we met only one time, and he was invited me for Christmas, and the French Christmas, like a true French Christmas experience. And I said yes, and then I right there on the train on the way from, I think I was going from Stockholm to Örebro, and right there on my phone I booked the tickets, and like I felt so, like, blessed in a way, that look at me, like I'm at the pinnacle of civilization, that I can plan to travel on a train with internet just like a couple of weeks in advance. Like, how blessed I am to be able to do that. So yeah, so I went there. I went to this north in this province of Alsace, I think it's called. It's sort of like the border region between Switzerland, Germany, and France. And it's like such a mix of cultures. I was there, and he was there with his brother. His girlfriend also came, And oh, I went to spend the Christmas Eve with their family, and they invited me wholeheartedly. At this, like, and the whole time that I was there, and I was thinking that, like, no amount of wealth can buy this. No amount of wealth can buy this. Like, y- you you can buy this experience, but it'll not be the same. Like, to be able to be with somebody new, who open their doors to you, and then they show you, okay, this is how we spend the Christmas. And I got to understand, okay, what are the Christmas traditions like? What is the French cuisine like? Um, Adrian's mom, she didn't understand a word of English, like many French people, of course. So I tried to learn some French in order to impress her. And God, French is freaking hard. French is freaking hard. I don't think I ever did learn any more sentence apart from that. So just being there with them, having dinner together with them, and they're like having sitting with their family, and then of course buying presents, and then putting the presents under the tree, and then sharing them with everybody, and then to be able to, like, be to have this kind of environment with everybody that just makes you feel uh, very much at home, even though I was a complete stranger. I didn't know their language, didn't know really understand their culture, but I was there as a guest, and I accommodated them, and I accepted them, and they fully accepted me. And it was like, it's one of those spontaneous experiences, like I said in the very beginning, that all that made this possible was just a simple thing that I offered a stranger help, and I asked them, okay, like, I can help you with taking a picture. Um, so yeah. लगता है मनान भाई ने accent पर बहुत work किया है. I have actually on my accent. Yeah, I get this comment a lot because I have worked on my accent quite a lot. But it's a lot of the credit goes to my teachers, and just being like, every time I would meet a new person, I would do this very fun exercise, and then I would ask them, if you didn't know where I was based on my accent, where do you think I am from? And it would be very fun because looking at me, they would want to assume I'm from, like, of course, like India, or the India first comes to their mind. But looking at my accent, it's pretty far from India. So yeah, that's a really fun exercise that I actually uh, like to do. And so this was one really good experience, and I think I want to um, another thing that I had really fun um, experience with was back in the second year of our studies. I had a friend, an Estonian friend, and she was from the islands, the island of Huma, and it's one of the sweetest girls that I've ever met, and so humble, so open, so cordial. She's currently married, living in the UK, um, and I mean, we still met a while back, and uh, yeah, I mean, she's the kind of a person, when she walks into a room, she just lights up the whole place, and I knew it from the very beginning that and you can actually feel that when you actually are in a place where people are generally very cold. So even if you are a little bit of an extrovert, a little bit of warm, then it stands out a lot. So she was from the island of Huma. And I think I want to stress another thing here is that despite the fact that Estonia is very small, the very small population, if you live there long enough, you start to see different gradients. And that actually start to see that, like, if you go to the islands, for example, the islands of Hiiumaa and then Saaremaa, people are warmer. And if you actually look at the climate maps of Estonia, Saaremaa, the island, or the western tip of Saaremaa, is actually one of the warmest places in Estonia. Like, actually, physically warmest place in Estonia, and the people are there quite warm as well. Like, they're much open to strangers. They smile at you. I don't think they smile at you, because smiling at you is still the mark of a crazy person in Estonia. But yeah, they're a little bit more warmth. Like you can actually feel that. So she invited us to the island. We went there, and I mean, it's life on the island is like a completely different thing. Like, um, it's like everybody knows each other and everybody knows everybody. And I mean, Estonia is quite small, so you get this feeling. But on the island, it's on another level that you know everybody. And I remember there uh, we were sitting, and then she invited us to her house, which was really nice of her. And her dad was also there. And her dad asked us straight away, or he asked me straight away, "Why are you here in Estonia?" And I was like a still little, very I didn't have that much confidence, and I wasn't so like sure of myself at about answering people. And then he asked me, "Why are you here in Estonia? I mean, what do you get here?" And I said, "Oh, nature, and oh, I want to have studies and all that." And they said, "Rubbish! You shouldn't be here. Like there is nothing here. Like you shouldn't be here. Like not in a very like a way that you are not welcome here, but what he meant to say was there are plenty of other places that are much better for you to go." But yeah, that was quite something to hear. A very shocking and very direct thing. But we had a really good time. I remember there was the on the island of Yuma. So there are much activities that young people can do. Like there were like two clubs that were on the opposite ends of the island. And what people were doing, or the young people were doing the whole night, was quite simply just going from one end of the island to the other end of the island on a car. Just coming here, I don't know, just dancing, doing whatever, hanging out, mingling, going to the other bar, other club, and then coming back. And I, uh, it was just like so different feeling to see uh, the culture in the islands, because it's a very different. It's very different. It's not the same as a city culture. It's sort of like very much gelled together. Um, People are more familiar. People are sort of more warm. And that was that time that I saw Northern Lights for the second time in my life. So yeah, Huma was actually is a great place. You should definitely go there. And then Huma and Saaremaa, they're like two islands in Estonia. And then of course, like every two islands, they have like a sort of rivalry between them. That it's sort of like a friendly banter between them that happens. That okay, which island is better? And of course, there was this one joke that I've read was that there was the only thing better that Saaremaa has than Huma is neighbors. So yeah, I think they exist in everywhere, in every friendly place. Um, so yeah, the life on the islands was pretty great, pretty amazing, and I had a really good time over there, traveling, and I went to actually quite a few other places as well. I went to Saaremaa a few times. That's another really nice island. I think the best thing about these places is that like you get sort of like the whole thing to yourself. Like imagine being in a forest and then just owning the forest, or imagine being at a beach and then just owning the beach. Owning in a beach, and I mean that you're the only person there, and you can enjoy the kind of solitude and freedom. And then yeah, there was this one time, and I remember I was in Saaremaa. My sister was visiting me from Germany, and I took her there. And then I remember we were at a place, and it was pitch dark, and I was sitting in the balcony with a blanket on top of me, and I was just looking at the sky. And after a while, I think I had the most like trippy, lucid experiences of my life, where you could like see the sky with stars, so many, and then shooting stars, and then satellites. I think I counted like like more than 100 different shooting stars, like the meteor showers and all that. It was like one of the most, I would say, kind of like a life-changing experiences of my life to see this, like the night sky. I think that is one thing that we often sort of miss that, but it's a very profound experience. If you look at night sky for just some time, half an hour, you will see that, oh God, it's like amazing. It's beautiful, and you can actually see satellites fly by as well. Um, and I I think one of the things that has I will be wrapping up the stream quite shortly. Uh, I think that the thing about Estonia that ended up becoming is that because I've been writing about Estonia and talking about Estonia for the past 6 years, I've sort of become like an unofficial spokesperson for for the country, despite being that I've never been offered like I've never had any help or assistance from the state, which is kind of good in a way, but kind of bad in a way. The good thing is that it's like I I'm very free to criticize the things. And even though Estonians in general and the state in particular, like the state institution, they don't like my criticism at all, I've been told very, very directly that there's a lot of, but I found that that sort of works the opposite way. Like, I don't think there has been anybody who has introduced Estonia and who has been the cause of people coming to Estonia from across the world. Not even the state with all its resources. And I think the only credit to that goes to the fact that I've been very critical and I've been very appreciative of all the things. So I've been saying what things that I find good, and I've also been able to things that I find bad. And that is also a very good experience, that lesson that every person who works in the content media industry or the public relation industry can take home, is that if you just say all the only good things about your product or your place or your company and all that, people have a natural bullshit detector. Like, it just goes off. That there is no way that there is everything positive. Even if you say one thing negative, or there's one thing that they don't doesn't suit you or they don't like, people will instantly start to trust you. People will instantly start to uh, get you that, okay, you're telling the truth. Like, you can say it even works when people okay, I'm gonna see three statements and see how much anybody can trust me. So I'm very good with words. Uh, I am I am a content creator. Um, I mean, and the third thing is that I am also very good at writing. And then all of these things are just like sort of positive qualities that I have. But when I add the fourth thing, when I say that I have, I can get anxious very easily. Like, people a lot like scare me. This vulnerability instantly opens me up and sort of gives credibility to all the first three things that I have said. So saying true things about yourself that are not just positive qualities can actually have a huge positive experience. And this is I've learned from very actual hard experience. Okay, so I'll be wrapping up, but I will answer the question. So Zaheb has asked me, have you ever been to St. Petersburg? It is very close to you. I tried actually. I needed a visa, but there was one time when you could actually get a cruise ship to St. Petersburg and 2 days visa free and then come back. But unfortunately, the cruise ship that I booked was canceled, and then I never got a chance to go. But I mean, of course, I really want to go to St. Petersburg. I really want to visit Russia because it's also again the same thing. It's not just one culture. It's such a rich history going through time. Like, if you think about it, then from the west side or from the east side of Russia, if you go to the west, there are so many nationalities and people, and so yeah, it's definitely a place that I really want to visit. Tartu Diaries. Can you share your experience about Estonian language learning? Sure, I can talk about it. So, Um, so for the longest time, I did not proactively learn Estonian. I did learn A1 when I was in the university because it was one course that I really had to do. And A1 is just basic, like it just tells you to introduce yourself, say your names, where you're from, just like very basic things. I mean, A1 anybody can learn in a couple of weeks. It's no big deal. It was only when I was in my fifth year and the sixth year where I actually started to make a conscious effort because I was reaching the term limit for my citizenship, and that was one time when you actually need to learn Estonian. So my goal was to pass the B1 exam. And what I did was that I tried to do many different things. So I enrolled in a school. It was like a paid school in the city center. And what they did was that you could actually get some money reimbursed uh, f- if you pay the fee. So I remember it was the times of the COVID, like a little bit before that. And we would actually go to the school, and we would study there with a bunch of students, and then COVID hit, and then everything became online. So there I was studying, but the experience was not as good as it was. Like I didn't feel that I was learning very much. I think the thing that really helped me was when Estonia launched its integration foundation courses. And those were the courses that were done by a group of teachers. And one of the teachers that I did was one of the most, the thing was that uh, when we had classes, there were online classes. It was only in Estonian. Like you could not speak in English. You had to speak, even if you're at the very beginning, you had to speak in Estonian, no matter what it took. And I remember the first day of my class was really, really difficult. Like I had no idea what I would do because everybody was seemingly much better at that than me. But I think that was the positive, and I still to this very day, I'd recommend the courses that are done by the Integration Foundation. Uh, they're free if you are in Estonia for less than 5 years, or I'm not sure, but they're not that expensive, and you don't have to pay for them if you are within a certain limit. Actually, one of the teachers, the course, you can say coordinator, was the same person that wrote the Estonian book Eenagu Eesti, and she's of course very smart, one of the top Estonian language teachers in Estonia, and of course because Estonian is only spoken in Estonia, probably the world, because she wrote the book. It's a really good book. Eenagu Eesti is actually a really really good book. So to summarize to you, the the thing about the Estonian language learning was that I wanted to pass my B1 exam, and I was learning, and then I was practicing. And for me, I think the thing that, because there are different types of people that they learn, right? I'm not a very analytical person. I'm not that way. Like I don't cannot understand rules, and I cannot understand, okay, this comes after this. Analytically, I'm very bad. Some people are like that. Some people are able to, they need to talk to other people and then they can form sentences. Like I can't. Like I go with my feeling mostly. What do I feel? Is this right or is this wrong? And then I can speak it. And I think the final thing that really helped me before the test, because I did not give the A2 exam, I just gave the B1 exam. And one thing that really, really helped me, that was like the final thing that made it work for me, was learning to Estonian radio. Like that was the thing that I listened to it nonstop. And what it did was that even if I wasn't understanding like 50% of what they were saying, I was sort of able to build a context of what, okay, it was, what are they saying? And I was able to get fluent. And that was really, really helpful. Like I got a feeling of what the language is. And it showed in my test as well, because the highest numbers that I got was in this spoken section. and that sort of like saved me because the writing section was really difficult, and I think I did not get as good numbers there. But the speaking section was actually really good, and I was able to pass the exam. And that was like a huge thing because I think the giving the Estonian exam and passing that is like something that I was able to do in my first try. And I know people when I was giving the exam who were there for like 3 or 4 times already, and every time they were like really, really trying. So I mean, to summarize it, I would say that if you want to learn Estonian language, understand what kind of learning is best suited for you. Are you the kind of a person who likes to read books, who likes to learn the language through analytical way, or you like to absorb the language? I'm the kind of person that absorbs the language. So what worked for me was just listening to radio, just looking at, just listening to people, um, sometimes speaking if I really needed to do that on the phone, and yeah. So I think this is it. I had a really good time talking to all the people who joined the stream, who are still on the stream. Thank you for being here. I think I will do a lot more of these now. I will start with the topic and then I will ask the questions and answers if anybody has any, but I will just riff freely and practice and talk about all these things. And yeah. So if anybody does not have any questions, if you do have any questions, you can always email me for any questions or topics. Just email me at Anon. And yeah, thank you. And I will see you this week as well. I think maybe tomorrow. Who knows? Or maybe day after tomorrow. Or maybe tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Let's see if a good topic comes to my mind and we can talk about it. So I wish you all the best wherever you are. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and good night to everybody. Thank you, everybody, and take care. Peace.